I'm frustrated. Gaming is being ruined. True.
It seems to me like whenever I talk about a game, I can't get away from whatever the previous game was. So we were watching Path of Exile, and when Path of Exile 2 was being announced and the gameplay footage was being shown, which, by the way...
Everybody is going to be saying rip Diablo 4, let me guess.
Did look really good. The only thing that was going on in the chat was people comparing it to Diablo 4.
See, he might not remember. As I said before, back in D4 bad, everybody knows D4 bad based. And so in the Path of Exile closed beta, I'm talking about 2012, 2011. I think it was 2012, actually. I'm not sure. Either way, whenever it came out, guess D3 bad based. D3 bad. Hey guys, anybody else D3 bad? Yeah, for sure, man. Hey yo, like what's this Inferno shit? They didn't even balance it. Oh, we took it and doubled it? Oh, fuck you, Jay Wilson. The Blizzard doesn't know shit. Yeah, this is the same thing. Literally 10 years ago, this exact same thing happened.
And talking about how Diablo 4 is dead because of this footage, how, Path of Exile was already a better game even though none of us have played it, and how Diablo is dog shit for not being able to do what Path of Exile 2 is doing. Like
there is also, I want to say that there is no excuse that Diablo 4 is not, like every system in Diablo 4 should have been working. Like there are things that Diablo 4 does better than Path of Exile, but there should be nothing that Path of Exile is just doing better one-to-one than Diablo 4. They have too many resources, too much technology, too much experience for that to be an excuse. I'm not saying that they need like being off-screened by mobs, like being disconnected randomly from the game in hardcore mode without any sort of restriction, like fixes and quality of life increases being used as content for 6 months from now, like resistances being broken, like adding resistances onto pieces of gear and possible rolls, even whenever they know and have acknowledged that resistances are broken, stash tabs being restrictive, of course the aspect category being restrictive, loading everybody's stash tabs. Let's see. I think that's a good start. What does Diablo 4 do better than PoE? I think Diablo 4 does great open world, and I think PoE doesn't have that, and it's an advantage that Diablo 4 has over PoE, and I do actually think the open world is good, and it adds texture to the world. I also think that the social interactions in Diablo 4 are better than PoE, and I also think the campaign in Diablo 4 is better than PoE, and everything surrounding the campaign. Like, and I think combat is also better. And that doesn't mean, by the way, that doesn't mean that PoE is bad. I'm just saying that Diablo 4, I think, is a little bit better.
The hyper-reactionary of this, and then you have the people that were like, Path of Exile 2 looks garbage, Diablo 4 is a million times better.
Yep.
It's almost like gaming politics, where people...
Exactly.
No one can just talk about the game we're watching. Like,
nobody can talk about an idea. There's a quote, small minds talk about people... medium minds talk about events, and large minds talk about ideas. I think it was from Eleanor Roosevelt, and she was a president back in the 40s or so. And so it's very common, and it goes back until then. She was apparently, she made a lot of decisions for FDR whenever he got older and his health declined. So she actually played a very big role. As far as I know, that she played the biggest role of any first lady in our history, I believe. When he had a stroke, shadow president, basically.
I was kind of hoping that while we were watching, it was just going to be a bunch of people like explaining why they like Path of Exile, what they're excited by, etc. And to be honest, my chat is mostly fairly positive adults, it seems. There's only been like 4 people ever banned in my Twitch chat. I'll get one guide sometimes, but other than that, it's like for the most part,
since the start of the
my chat's pretty wholesome, I would say. Everyone's pretty good people, and we try really hard to cultivate an atmosphere of like, we don't shit talk other content creators. We try to be positive in general, not just about a game we're talking about, but we just try to like have a good time. My opinion is people come to a live stream to be entertained, listen to somebody talk, and also, for the most part, avoid most of the other bullshit. If someone wants to listen to politics, religion, your opinion on something controversial, or hear somebody whine the whole time, they'll just turn on the TV, because there's plenty of that. So for the most...
That's very true. I know that, especially whenever I started covering more controversial topics, etc., there were a number of people that were unhappy about me doing that and said the same thing. For me now, obviously, I do a bit of both, but, I get friction between those two communities, even now.
I just try to have a good time in my streams.
Right.
And I've learned that, like I've said before, I've learned that because before I was not always
I wish I was like that. I'm just an asshole who can't stand to not have somebody listen to his stupid fucking opinion. I've got to get it out. I've got to tell somebody what I think. They've got to find out.
Way. If you dig up some of my older videos on my Darth channel, you're for sure going to see videos of me ranting and raving about games and etc. And I've matured out of that because I got sick of my own negativity, to be honest with you. Yeah. And so now I'm kind of realizing, while just trying to talk about and look at games.
Yeah, I'm not even nearly as... People think that, like, oh, Asmon's always negative. Bro, go back and watch my videos in Warlords of Draenor, okay? You want to see mad? That's mad. Whenever I poured salt on my own fucking head, whenever they added the Heart of the Aspects to the store back in 2012, I've gotten so much better.
It is hyper frustrating for me that gaming in general, this isn't just like a my chat thing, this isn't like a YouTube, this isn't a Twitch thing, this is gaming in general, seems to have got so reactionary, where the only way that we can talk about if a game is good is by comparing it to another game and being like, this game's bad. Or it goes from the same people who were saying they love the game a week later, the next week it's the worst game ever and deserves to be review bombed. And
I think that's kind of fair, because people will go through a game and so, like, it was good until you got to a certain point that was very frustrating. I think that's kind of fair. But everything else, he's totally right about this. Like, and this is the same thing that, like, I know that, like, because I do commentary every day, all day, right? So I know what this is like. People are so fucking attached to, like, not liking or liking a game that they will just completely ignore anything logical, and they will turn into these, like, crazy, weird freaks that do 5 comments that are trying to justify why WoW is better than Final Fantasy XIV. This is absolutely unhinged behavior. Nobody does this. It's like you don't go home from work and, kiss your beautiful wife and say hello to your beautiful children, and before you, sit down and have dinner with your family, and you just came home from your great career, and say, sorry, honey, I can't spend time with you and the kids right now. I need to write 6 comments. It wasn't 5. 6 comments on Asmongold's new YouTube video about why my video game is better than the other video game. Nobody does this. This is freak behavior, and no normal person does this. It's the same thing with complaining about a lot of things incessantly on the internet.
I don't understand where the lack of nuance has gone in the conversation. It's actually frustrating for me because
the reason why there's no nuance is because nuance makes it harder to think. And people that are asking for remember what I told you guys about Lion Ted? That's whenever I realized the simplicity of the human mind. Who's that? So Ted Cruz was he was a political candidate in 2016, and Donald Trump had given him the nickname Lion Ted. Why did he get the nickname Lion Ted? Because he's always lying, obviously. So Lion Ted decided to go right into the wolf's den and go to a Trump rally and directly confront the different voters at that rally and see what their grievances were and actually ask them and engage them directly. So he did this with good intentions. I mean, as good as it could be, right? And he does this with good intentions, and he goes up against, of course, right, a Trump voter, and it's the stereotype, right? Gray hair, wraparound sunglasses, fucking America shirt with like an eagle on it, and he's holding a flag, and he's overweight, and he's about 47. So he says, well, what's your problem with me? Why do you like Donald Trump? And so the guy explains it. And Ted Cruz, if anybody doesn't know, is an expert debater. He actually was like a champion debater in college. And he just completely dismantled this redneck's argument and made him look like a complete, absolute buffoon and a fool in front of everybody. And the redneck sat there, and he paused for a minute, and he points at him, and he looks at everybody else, and he says, there he goes, Lying Ted, he's at it again. I can't believe it. He thinks we don't see that he's fucking lying. Lying Ted. And then everybody else around him was saying, Lying Ted. There it is. Lying Ted. Oh, what's he doing now? Look at him. He's lying again. What's Lying Ted got to do now? Oh, yeah, whatever. Raphael, because that's his real name. And Trump brought this up too. Yeah, Lying Ted. No, we're not going to vote for you. Is there a clip of this? I'm sure somebody can find it. And Ted Cruz was just sitting there, and he was like, I don't think that he expected this to happen, but it did. And then Trump won the election. So the reason why nuance is dead is because people are dumb. It's pretty simple. It's not complicated. There's not a lot to it. It's people are fucking stupid.
Try really hard nowadays to like walk down the path of like acknowledging the faults when I see them. And I will say freely in this video because people still, for whatever reason, think that I'm trying to say the game's amazing. Diablo 4 is still a 6 or 7 out of 10, exactly like I thought it was in the betas before the channel rarely went anywhere at all. It's a decent game. It's not groundbreaking and the best thing in the world, but it's a solid game to play for whatever amount of time you enjoy it. That's how I feel about Diablo 4, right?
And here's another example I want to give, is that have you ever seen somebody have an argument on Twitter, and then the person who responds to the argument just posts a picture of that person's profile picture, and the person's like fat or ugly or both? And they say, oh yeah, like I want to hear what this person has to say. Fucking ugly, fatty, shut up, fatty. And then they ratio the guy. And then he gets ratioed. And he loses the argument because he's fat. Because it's not about winning an argument. It's about making the other person look stupid.
But still in this day and age, if you try to beat Kitty, you really get... Kitty wants in on this video too. She's been frustrated because she hasn't been allowed outside very much.
She's saying that Diablo 4 is bad.
Talk about, my point is, you can't talk about a game anymore without having to be on like one side of a political fence. You either have to hate everything about it or love anything about it. And if you try to have that level of nuance where you walk down and you acknowledge the negatives and acknowledge the positives, you either get thrown in a basket of somebody who's like a Blizzard fanboy. I don't know why that's a thing. It's like, oh, you're a Blizzard fanboy and all this. Actually, I've barely played many of their games. In fact, I got roasted because I did a tier list of Blizzard games, but I played like half of them because I haven't even played the original ones. And that is when you would have made a Blizzard fanboy. I haven't really played D2 all the way. I've never even played D1. Didn't play original StarCraft.
Ah, Blizzard fanboy trying to convince us that he's not a Blizzard fanboy. Well, I know that he is. He's not going to use these tricks to convince me. I've already made up my mind. Classic.
And play the Warcrafts into World of Warcraft. You know, I played StarCraft 2, but I didn't play the OG StarCraft. So it's like, no, I've played some of their recent games, and I didn't even really like Overwatch that much. I played Overwatch 2 for like all of 10 minutes.
Oh, that's a long time.
So it's difficult for me, and this isn't even a Blizzard conversation or about Diablo 4 or about the way that people perceive my opinions. It's more of the political gaming atmosphere in general that I'm sick of, which is that no matter what, I can't get away from just people just picking a fence. Like, I can't have any normal conversations with people. And it's actually...
Everything is going to be hinged off of generally accepted memes of thought. And I like to challenge these, and sometimes I do this honestly. I just zoom down so you can see the cat. And so I like to do these sometimes. Like, for example, I said that one time Overwatch used storytelling that was similar to Dark Souls, because there are spontaneous NPC conversations that can occur in the same way that there are spontaneous lore events that can occur in Dark Souls. And everybody got really angry at me, but I think that technically I was right. But people have already made up their mind, and they've created a structure in their mind of what is and what is not in terms of games. And if you deviate from that, you're just wrong. That's it. And the problem also with being on the internet is that nobody on the internet is obligated to agree with you whenever you beat them in an argument. So it doesn't even matter. So you can prove them wrong and they can just say Lion Ted.
Driving me crazy lately, because I just want to hear somebody say, well, I like this about the game, I don't like this about the game, and I'm playing the game until next year when Path of Exile 2 comes out in the beta in June, and then I'll go play that one. It's never that reasonable point. It's always like, oh, Diablo 4 has 1 year and then it's a dead game, it's in its grave, the devs are idiots. You know, it's always that. And I guess I'm just like using this video as my fucking therapy.
It's like, look, yeah, for sure. Look at the, I felt this way too. Look at news, look at politics, look at, you know, like, look at any, like, I followed these, like, different, like, social news accounts, and there's 3 things that they post. People dying, hot girls, and drama. That's it. Because those get the best interactions.
Session for a moment or something, so I'm sorry, but it's just it's I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I can't get a normal conversation about gaming anymore.
No,
it's just always it's always all the way.
People don't want to have their opinions challenged. They want to be told that what they think, that thing that you thought, you were right. I think the best example to show that people are completely unhinged now is, do you remember that girl that this was in, I don't know, some airplane? And she was this woman with big titties. You probably remember her now. And she said that the person sitting next to her was a lizard. Was actually a lizard person. Yeah. The crazy girl. And there were people in the comments, well, you know, if they weren't a lizard, why couldn't they just prove they wasn't a lizard? Oh, yeah, I mean, that maybe it is true. True, brother. Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah, it's scary. People are getting really stupid. And it's the same as, like, now, any time that anybody has a heart attack, it's because of a COVID vaccine. That's right. Anytime any person has any heart complication, it's because of a COVID vaccine. That's right. That's the reason. People are just fucking stupid. And the sooner that you accept that, because they're fat, no, like LeBron James' son had it happen. He's not fat. He's in great shape. No, it's some people are genetically fucked.
On one side or all the way on the other, and if you try to ride the line of like acknowledging what is okay, what is the problem, then both the sides hate you.
Oh yeah,
because the one side that's really positive about it's like, well, there's no negative.
Stand in the middle of the road, you get hit coming both ways.
Negatives wrong about it all, and then the negative side about it's like, well, you're just a paid shill or something. Like, I can't be reasonable in videos without having the vocal minority. And I realize the majority of you are silent, silent watchers, silent, view live stream lurkers and stuff that aren't, you guys just watch because you're driving and it's a podcast or in your head or something, and you're not seeing they're leaving like long nuanced breakdown comments, which is fine. Like, I understand that, but the people who are typically leaving like a lot of comments.
This actually, I want to make sure people understand this is not something that's new. There have been, I think there was an Andrew Jackson time period where like one of the strongest forms of political rhetoric against one of the opponents at that time was calling them gay. Well, he's right, he's gay. So, I mean, what are we talking about here? The dude's gay. So this is nothing new. People have been stupid forever.
Every single day. I'm getting a lot of positive ones, but I'm starting to get with the amount of reactions going on, negativity and all this stuff around the game. I'm starting to get a lot of people that are like choosing a side, and now even talking about Diablo 4 is like a war for some reason.
Well, it's because people nobody likes to be wrong, and people don't understand the idea of changing your opinion based off of evidence. That's why, for example, and I understand that I'll probably get a lot of criticism for saying this, but that's why, for example, the restrictions and the way that the government wanted to handle COVID changed over time. Is that they would try something and then it didn't work, and then so they would try something else. That's fundamentally the scientific method. But people don't understand the scientific method because they don't understand what is a null hypothesis. Nobody knows what a null hypothesis is. That's bullshit. That was something you learned in high school and you already forgot about this. So the idea for this, and even if you don't want to use COVID as an example, you can use many other things as the same thing. Whenever people change their opinion based off of new evidence, they're flip-flopping. And you see this a lot. And you see there are comments of people that, they can be given indisputable evidence that they're wrong. They can be proven wrong completely, but they get props from other people for sticking by their guns and, holding true to their values. Because people care more about being consistent than being right.
And it's like, it's just a game, boys. It's literally a game. And the frustrating part for me is I can't talk about it like it's a game anymore.
Yeah.
And you can't have an opinion about it like it's a game anymore. If you just want to talk about the game, suddenly, you're, oh, well, that means you're supporting, shitty devs and shitty game making, and you're the reason that games in general are bad. Or, if you hate the game too much, then it's, oh, well, you're the reason that gaming is terrible because everything's negative and all that. Like, there's no, I understand that there's people that aren't this way, but it sure doesn't feel like those are the people that are in the conversation. And I don't know. It's got me bummed out a little bit today, where I just want to have a normal conversation with normal people with normal opinions. And there's just a lot of flaming going on between everybody, and people just can't get along.
Well, people don't want to get along because they're conditioned and they're fed a constant sea of bullshit where they're told that, a person, because for example, you don't just support Blizzard. You don't just play Diablo 4. You support a company that drinks breast milk and causes female employees to kill themselves. You understand how this works? It's the emotional escalation. That's how it is. No, again, and you can get mad about this, but the better thing to do is embrace it. People are stupid animals. And that's what they do, right? You ever seen put a mirror in front of an animal and the animal gets mad at the mirror? Stupid. Well, people aren't that much better.
And it just frustrates me today. If I had to make one point in this video, it's this. I hope that we can all agree that we're playing games to have fun. That was the original interpretation of these games. In fact, a lot of the negative comments I'm seeing are that the fact that games aren't fun anymore. But then we spend a lot of time doing things that aren't fun, like getting in really hardcore discussions with people that we don't agree with, when it's just an opinion, and opinions are just that, subjective thoughts that don't mean they're right because they have an opinion. So constantly arguing and yelling.
This is the reason why. So the problem is that rhetoric in public debates is not based around being accurate. It's based around convincing people that you're right. So, you don't need to present an argument that is better than the other person. All you need to do is present an argument that is more compelling.
With each other and all this stuff is really just kind of burning me out a little bit, and it's ruining what gaming originally was for me. Like,
Bro,
how my cat's losing her mind in the background? Like, that is a good example of how I feel about where gaming is going. Maybe we're not all the way there, but I'm starting to see it's getting that way, where it's like you can't do anything without this constant meow, 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 meow in the background. Eventually you're just like, just stop. Just stop. I'm just trying to play a game. It's really not that...
This happened to me yesterday whenever I watched the campfire and I said that the Diablo 4 campfire was good. Because I think that it was. I think that they genuinely had a good campfire and it was an improvement on what we had. And I am generally a person that, if things are positive, then I'm going to be positive, and if things are negative, I'm going to be negative. right? I try to operate in as much of good faith as I can, but overall, that's the way that I try to look at things. So things have improved, and so I try to be nice, and then everybody is like in the comments, oh, wow, he's getting finessed again. Asmon's so stupid. I thought he saw the light, but now he's actually dumb. That's just how it is, because people have already convinced themselves that Diablo 4 is bad. So if Diablo 4 gets better, it doesn't matter, because Diablo 4 is already bad. So how could Diablo 4 get better if it's bad? Doesn't make sense, because it's already bad.
Serious? Maybe I wasted my own money playing the game. Maybe I'm wasting my own time playing the game. I'll play something else when I get bored, you know? And it doesn't mean that other people can't have opinions about what's right or wrong about the game. I'm sure that's fine. It's not even like a thing of me getting mad at YouTubers or anything with opinion. It's really like everyone. Like you can't go, if I go to a Reddit, I know without even opening it today, I know it's going to be 15 comments mad at whatever the campfire chat was. I know there's going to be personal insults and all this stuff too. If I go to the forums, I know it's going to be the same thing. If I look at my own YouTube comments, there's going to be a lot of really positive comments about you guys being nice to me, because for whatever reason, that's just still a flood of those nice comments coming in. But then there's going to be tons of counter comments of people just arguing and being mean to each other. Maybe I'm in the wrong business, because I just... like the yelling and freaking out about each other, like actually just bums me out. I actually, before this, people ask me all the time, like what my job was before this. And it was, I did call centers, right? Pick up the call and like take someone's complaint.
So this is PTSD.
And they would immediately be like, fuck you, and start yelling. Yeah. And it just, like I said, it's just like the cat in the background, where it's just losing your mind. And eventually the longer it goes on, like the more it drives you crazy. And I just wanted to rant about it, because honestly, I'm a little bit frustrated today. I know I'm part of the problem. I know I'm a YouTuber that goes out and done opinions. I've done reaction videos. I have, you know, years of me like still doing the exact same thing, getting mad about videos all the time. That's part of what I've done in the past. I know that. And maybe it's just people, you know, maybe with age, people evolve out of it, you know, but I've grown sick of my...
that's true. I mean, after you, what do you call it? Like after you... you know, you get to a certain age, it's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Getting mad and investing all of this emotional energy into a fucking video game. It's just like, what are you doing?
Constant negativity, and I've tried to mature out of it, and I'm just realizing, like, there's just a constant flow of new people in gaming, and it seems like it's spiraling more and more and more and more. And I know like anger and all that gets engagement. Yeah, I know that's the way it works. I know how the algorithms work and all that. So I don't know if there's a way out of it, but it's just, I can't be the only one that feels like gaming went from something where everyone talks about it because we all love it, and it builds a community off like, oh, you game too? You know, when you meet somebody else, to like now it's just, everyone just fights like all of the time.
Well, I think that it is still like that, but it's like that in real life, because the people that are in the comments section, if you sort by controversial, those people don't leave the house. These are, and they're doing the society a favor by, please, if you're one of those people, please continue staying inside. And so the most normal people don't deal with this shit at all. They don't want to have to, they don't, like, if I tell somebody, like, even if you probably don't like Diablo 4, if you saw somebody and they're like, yeah, I really like Diablo 4, I'd be like, oh, yeah, you know, and like, you probably aren't going to be like, oh, you fucking piece of shit. No, of course not. It's just that people in real life are going to be more polite for a lot of obvious reasons. And of course, like, most people that are on the internet complaining about this stuff are just like these super emotionally charged, like, weirdos, right? That's just how it is. Yeah, they're basement boys. Yeah, that's just what it is. So amazing how nice people are IRL. Yeah, like I never have like bad altercations or interact. They don't want to get their ass beat. Well, it's not just getting their ass beat. It's like people just don't want to deal with it. You know, they're at Wendy's. Like, they don't want to have a fight about this at Wendy's. They just want to get the food. They're like, you played Diablo? Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, I played it for a while. I quit. You know, how is it now? And that's about it. Well, Waffle House, that's different. But at Wendy's, I think that, yeah, people can just, understand it. Well, it sounds to me like he needs a break from the internet. No, every single time that somebody criticizes the way the internet produces content or sees content doesn't mean they need a break from the internet. It's just just the way it is, man. These videos, therapy sessions. Yeah, I think this kind of stuff is good, and I wish more people talked about this stuff. I think that the more that, and there's also like YouTube and like the way that, you know, algorithms are and everything. They trend towards and they lend themselves towards being extreme, being you know, as salacious and you know, extreme as possible. He's worried about Diablo 4 if his channel dies. Well, that's what I'm saying, right? And so it's like why? What's the logic there? So like if Diablo 4, so let's go ahead and let's expand on your logic, okay? I feel like every single Diablo streamer could easily transition over to PoE, and it would be totally fine. And I don't think that they would lose a portion of their audience. And I think that most streamers that have streamed PoE, that were Diablo streamers, have done well. I think the best example, of course, is Quinn. It's also me. People watch the genre. It's the same way that, like, for example, if you're an FPS streamer and you go and you're playing Apex or you're playing Warzone or PUBG, maybe not PUBG, it doesn't have as big of an audience, but overall, people are going to watch a good content creator. And it's the same as like Zizerain, for example, made Diablo 4 videos. He's a PoE content creator. Those videos did well. So they're in the same genre, I guess. Yeah, because it's just like what you're saying. It's just bullshit. Like you're accusing him of lying to the, like, I mean, think about like what you're saying, right? You're saying that like he's having, like so you're saying this is either he's having some breakdown because he's actually worried about losing money. You're basically accusing him of being like a grifter or a liar or something like that, just because of something that doesn't even make sense. So that's, and so yeah, he could just go to, so if PoE kills Diablo, then it wouldn't really matter for him because you just go over and make videos about Diablo, right? Or sorry, about PoE. I mean, he definitely doesn't want the game to die. Well, no, I don't think anybody really wants Diablo 4 to die. Like, I think that many people don't like where the game is, but I don't think anybody really wants it to die. They don't want the game to fall apart. It definitely doesn't make sense. Man, I got 2,000 subs for Diablo 4 Season 1 launch. Yeah, he got a lot of subs at the beginning whenever he started streaming because, you know, they had the program. And again, like this is, again, partial knowledge that is being used as, I don't know about Season 1 launch, but I know that like whenever he first started streaming, a lot of the reasons why him and everybody else got a lot of subs is because they had the streamer program where if you donated subs, you would be able to get the mount. Like, I remember I farmed like 40k subs in a day. So, or not 40, no, it was more like 20, I think. Whenever Dragonflight came out. So yeah, it's a good video. I'm gonna link it to you guys. I agree with pretty much everything he's saying. It's just media in general. Yeah, media is crazy. Absolutely. I should give the video a like. I think this is I wish more people talked about this kind of stuff.